Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a great day so far and welcome to today's video, which is going to be the next episode in my You Do Not Need That series, where I am talking you out of all of these super tempting new makeup releases. If you are on a no buy, if you're on a low buy, if you're trying to cut back on makeup spending, this is the video for you. So without further ado, let's get started. So as always, quick disclaimer, I am a beauty YouTuber and makeup reviewer here on YouTube. I buy way more makeup than I could ever use, and far more than it would be responsible of me to buy or ever suggest anybody else should ever own in their entire human life. So yes, I may or have already purchased like most of the stuff that we're going to talk about in this video, but in no way does that mean that you must, that you should, or that you even would be wildly expected to be able to, because this is obviously something that I do for my job. So I'm here for you if you are super tempted by all of these purchases, but you've been trying not to add any more makeup to your collection. You're trying to spend less money on makeup if you're on a no buy year or a low buy year. This is the video for you. But please remember that this is a case of like, do as I say, not as I do. Okay, but for the right reasons, you know what I mean. I feel like this time of year is the worst possible time when it comes to trying not to buy makeup, because January, oh my goodness, it's like brands take most of December off for Christmas and then they just bring out 2 months worth of releases in January all at the same time. We have Lunar New Year releases, we have spring releases for some reason already coming. We've got Valentine's Day releases. It's just all a lot. And I'm just buried in it. When I started writing a list of like what we should cover today, I had to go to a second page in my notes app. And that's the first time that's happened in as long as I can remember. So we've got a lot to cover. All right, let's get on with it. First up, let's talk about these Chanel Winter Healthy Glow Snowflake, whatever you want to call them, these blushes. Yes, they're very pretty and delightful to look at. That's exactly the problem, isn't it? They look so pretty with that embossing on, so beautiful. It's Chanel. We know they make beautiful blush formulas. Very tempting. I hear you. But let me tell you, I bought one of these blushes. I bought the coral shade, the shade that spoke to me the most, being a coral loving girl. And it's okay. It's a nice blush. It's fine. Do I have 1 million other coral blushes that are just as nice or even nicer? Yes, I do. Let me tell you, this didn't change my life. This didn't become like the only blush I ever want to put on my cheeks ever again. It's a nice, luminous, softly glowing blush that is a very common colour that we've seen a million of before. And the same thing goes for the other shades. You know, there's a lighter corally pink and then there's a slightly richer berry tone. None of these blushes are anywhere near as rich as they look in the pan or in the images. They are all quite subtle actually and take quite a bit of building on me, on my skin tone. So yeah, they aren't wowing, knocking my socks off the best blushes I've ever seen in my life. They are a nice blush. Nothing more, nothing less, nothing crazy, nothing life-changing. You're not missing out if you don't pick these up. More will be right around the corner. I know it. Next up, let's talk about these primers from the same collection. I myself very much thought these were going to be wow, a real wow factor. And again, I purchased one of these. I have the shade Icy Beige and I found it kind of underwhelming. I have owned the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless filter for many years. I've got the Lisa Eldridge Elevated Glow. I have the Chantecaille Anti-Aging Skin Tint. I have a lot of these sort of, is it a primer? Is it a bit of skincare? Is it a glowy base product? What is it? Do we mix it with foundation? Do we put it on before? Do we use it as a like liquid highlighter? Products, I've got many of them. You probably have as well if you like the glow like me. This is very subtle. on me and for my taste and preference. Foundation over the top of this and you're not going to know any difference whatsoever. It's not going to show through foundation. The glow is much too subtle for that. Mix it with foundation, I don't think you're going to notice a difference either. The only thing this is going to do is give you a little bit of luminosity to the skin if you don't wear makeup. So that's how I'm using mine. If I'm not wearing makeup one day and I want a little bit of glow, a little bit of something to the skin, that's what I'm going to use that for. Do you know what does the same thing as that? Moisturizer. That's right. Literally any moisturizer will give your skin that juicy glow. And if you're going makeup free, which you'd have to in order to notice these primers, then you could just use moisturizer, which you can reapply just like this and get the glow back throughout the day if you're feeling a bit drier or you want to bring the glow back. Setting spray as well. Give yourself a bit of a blast of the Charlotte Tilbury setting spray or the Lisa Eldridge finishing mist. The Tatcha Dewy Skin Mist, anything like that, any kind of skin setting spray, finishing spray, and you just give yourself a bit of a boost to your, that's going to do the same thing as that. It's not wow factor, it's not crazy, it's not changed my makeup, it's not made all of my makeup mistakes go away, it's not taken any of my life's issues and put them in the bin, it's not made much difference whatsoever. In fact, I'd say it's made no difference whatsoever to how my makeup looked. In fact, if anything, I think it didn't look as smooth as usual because I've used an illuminating glowing primer as opposed to the usual smoothing one that I use, which is the Tom Ford Soft Matte, by the way. Yeah, and let me just say, I have this primer on one of my hands. Could you tell which one? Could you? You don't need it. Next up, let's talk about Chantecaille's spring collection. Yes, the spring collections are already coming out of our ears willy-nilly about the place, if you hadn't noticed. And on first impressions, the first photo I saw of this collection, I was wowed. I thought, ooh, that looks delightful. But on closer inspection, locking out as usual the glorious turtles. They just love putting a turtle on things. And I love a turtle as much as the next guy. I met a few sea turtles in Barbados one time when I was there for my sister's wedding. They were delightful, a joy. One of my favourite animal encounters I've ever had. They're glorious. I love a good snorkel with a sea turtle as good as the next person, believe you me. But sea turtles aside, just looking at these palettes, I mean, come on, tell me, if you're using your goggles to block out the turtle and you're just looking at these eyeshadows, tell me you're excited about those, that you're wowed, that those are going to be on your eyes every day of your life and you're really going to get you might hit pan. Don't you lie to me. I've told you before, I won't lie to you. Don't lie to me. You aren't excited by those eyeshadows. You saw a gold sea turtle and you got carried away. I did too. I understand you. But there's nothing, absolutely nothing there that's even barely going to show up. There's no exciting colour stories. There's no wow factor. There's nothing life-changing. There's nothing you don't already have other than a golden sea turtle. How much do you really need one of those? The lip cheeks, we've got a million of those. They're sheer, they don't have a lot of colour. On the lips, they're all going to pretty much look the same as the ones that you already have. That's an easy pass, okay? Even if you didn't know it. This is a very expensive collection. Chantecaille's prices are right up there, okay? We don't need to spend all our money on a shiny turtle on the front of a very mediocre eyeshadow colour story, okay? We don't need to do that. Next up, Pat McGrath re-released her Bronze Borealis quad for the Lunar New Year. Some would say it's a little lazy. We see you, Pat. We know, we see you. You didn't really feel like you wanted to put a new palette out for Lunar New Year. So you put one in a red box and slapped a Lunar New Year theme on it, and we see what you're doing. If you didn't buy Bronze Borealis last time it was here, why do you want it now? Okay, I own Bronze Borealis. It's a nice, decent palette. It does have like 2 of the golds from Pat McGrath that you've got 58 of if you've ever bought a palette from the brand, and it's got 2 pinks. Please, I beg of you to tell me you don't have pinks or golds from Pat McGrath in your collection. Because the only way that can be true is if you've never purchased from Pat McGrath before, in which case I understand it, but what I will tell you is she's already sneak peeking her next release. So one, as we always say with Pat McGrath, do not ever pay full price for Pat McGrath makeup because she has massive sales, 30% off. Almost always there's some kind of accidental further discount that they don't catch in time. You can get 50% off most things if you wait a few months. There'll be a Pat McGrath sale. They're like buses, constantly coming along, sometimes two at once. So there's no need whatsoever to spend $62 halfway to a mothership. And I feel like one is coming soon, or certainly something exciting and new is coming. This is not exciting or new, and it is quite expensive. You can do without it, I promise you. Next up, Dior Spring collection. Let me tell you, on initial looks at this, I almost put this entire collection in my basket, and then I thought about it and I thought I'm not going to get that quickly enough and get the review up and everything for review purposes. So I thought, for my own purposes, do I want this? And the answer is absolutely not. These look exactly the same as every other Dior collection that I've purchased over the years. Even the blush, and you know me and blush, especially when it comes to a glowy, like peachy nude blush, I need them all. But this shade from Dior, this is like all they've released for the last 2 years when it comes to their blushes in their limited edition collections. They all look the same. This one is slightly lighter. I don't even know if it will show up much on me. It's certainly not doing a lot. I've seen this reviewed on people with like fairer skin tone than me, and it barely shows up at all. It's just not worth it for me. Dior, again, we've already got a new collection being sneak peek from Dior. There's constantly something coming. You couldn't keep up even if you wanted to. Even if that was your goal for 2024, was to keep up with Dior makeup releases, you can't do it. And why would you want to? Because they literally all look the same. We've had a Dior backstage palette. We had the winter collection. We've now got the spring collection. There was some kind of other collection in amongst all of that I don't even know what its name was, and there's more coming. So just take some deep breaths, pretend you don't see it, and move on. Another one will be coming any day now. Again, buses. Next up, let's talk about these Gucci Plumping lip glosses. The only reason anyone could possibly want these are A, it's Gucci. You hear Gucci and you think, bougie, I need it, I want the lip gloss, I want my lips plumped, yes please. And the second reason is stars, okay? Stars. If the stars weren't on these gloss components, you definitely wouldn't want it like 25% as much as you do. I feel like Gucci and the stars all over this, and suddenly we think it's exciting, but it's literally a lip gloss. And looking at these pictures, which are typically quite exaggerated as to how much colour payoff you're going to get when it comes to a plumping lip gloss, they all basically look the same. So don't you dare buy more than one. If you must buy one, but don't buy like 2 or 3, because I think they're literally all going to look exactly the same on the lips, like the Dior lip oils. I've got a few of those, and there's like a hint of a difference in the colour, but not enough that justifies needing more than one, in my opinion. And these are not going to give you lips that look like you had filler. Okay, they're going to make your lips look fuller because they're shiny and glossy. That's the secret. A slight tingle, maybe even, you know, a moderate amount of warmth to the lips. Is that worth $42 of your hard-earned money? These are the purchases that get you. I was thinking about this the other day, right? You know, a lot of people will say, especially if you're trying to cut back on makeup spending, you'll be like, I'm not buying that mothership. That's £120 or $120 wherever you live. That's £120. That's too much money to spend on eyeshadow. I'm not going to buy that. A lot of people do that. But how many of those same people who, you know, find it easy to like say, no, that's too much, will buy a lipstick once or twice a month that you definitely don't need and not think about what that adds up to over the year? You know, a lipstick from a high-end luxury brand can easily be like £30 more. If you buy 1 or 2 of those a month, do you know what that adds up to in the year? Over £700. On a sale, I mean, you could have had 6 motherships. You could have had a mothership every other month for the same amount. You know, those are the little purchases that add up, and we think to ourselves, it's just a gloss, it's only $40. It's just a lipstick, it's only, you know, 28, 29, 30 pounds. So you don't think about them as much, but that's how they get you. Okay, be wise. Do the math. Even though it's horrifying, do the maths. Next up, let's talk about these Mario Satin lipsticks. These are an easy pass. Nobody needs these. These fall into the category of something we've got 58 million of in our drawers already. And these little small lipstick here, you know, eyeliner there, new brow thing there, new mascara there. These are the things that add up to £700 without us even realising it's happening. We don't need these. These are going to be, I promise you, these are going to be an average satin lipstick, the colours of which you already have in your drawers. Have a little look through. I beg you, see what you can find. These are not worth even looking at. So we're just going to move straight on, okay? That's a no. You don't need those. Stop it. Next up, let's talk about the Charlotte Tilbury Queen of Luck Quad. Again, I did purchase this with the intention of reviewing it. I do have photos up on my Instagram if you want to see the swatches. Now, I don't have an exact dupe of this quad. A lot of Charlotte Tilbury quads have all shimmer in them, and this one has a matte. So for that reason, I can't find a quad that is exactly like a dupe for this. But colour story wise and effect once it's on the eyes, how different is it going to be to anything that you have, whether it's from Charlotte Tilbury or if it's from Natasha Denona or Pat McGrath? This is a colour story we've seen done before. It's softer, it's not fire rose elevated for Charlotte Tilbury impact on the eye. This is a very classic Charlotte Tilbury quad. We have a lot of them already. They do come quite fast and frequently. I would also say if you have the Beautyverse palette, that does have mattes in it. If you already bought that, you got it for Christmas or something like that. If you already have that, you can 100% get a very similar look out of that than you'll be able to out of this one. I am a big sucker for Charlotte Tilbury. I love the brand. It's my favourite brand, I think, probably still. Lisa Eldridge and Charlotte Tilbury, they're like this, and Lisa Eldridge is catching up because she doesn't have an entire line yet. You know, she's adding to it all the time. We're still missing concealer, we're still missing mascara, bronzes, whereas Charlotte Tilbury, you know, has been around a lot longer, so they still just about edge it just because they have more of what I need. But Lisa Eldridge is catching up. Okay, so they are neck and neck. I find it very hard to resist their products. I know a lot of you guys found me through either my Lisa Eldridge or Charlotte Tilbury reviews, and that means that you love those brands as much as I do, and therefore there's this temptation to buy everything that they put out. But I will tell you, you don't have to. You don't have to. It's okay to skip things if you've got something similar, if you don't need it, if it's not really wowing and grabbing you. This is one to use a cooling off period for, because I promise you, if you hold off even for a week, but ideally for a fortnight, just thinking about this, do you still want it? I guarantee you in a week or so, you won't want it anymore. I feel like this is one of those where Charlotte Tilbury hasn't released a quad for a long time, and therefore you feel like, oh my God, I need it. She's released a quad, it's Charlotte Tilbury, I love Charlotte Tilbury, I need this quad. But actually, if you cooled off and you gave yourself a few days, it's not going to go out of stock in that time. I'm pretty confident of that, but I can't promise. But I'm pretty confident. I am 100% sure 99% of us will have moved on, something more exciting will have come along, we'll realise, actually, no, I actually don't need it, I've actually got something similar. 100% apply the cooling off period to this palette, because I'm sure that will do it for most of you. Next up, let's talk about the Natasha Denona My Mini Dream collection. I bought both of these products, the eyeshadow and the blush, and I was underwhelmed by both of them. I'm actually wearing both of them today. I don't think I love the blush. I thought I really would. I really thought I would. This also falls into that category of products that you think are not that expensive, and therefore I'm just going to buy it because it's not £120 mothership. It's only, you know, 30 odd pounds for each item, and you start to justify it. But actually, when you really look at it, we've got a lot of these mini palettes from Natasha Denona with the exact same colour story. We've also got lots of midis from her that also contain these exact same shades. And as someone who loves glowy blushes that are this colour. This one is a little disappointing. I find it a bit powdery and like heavy looking. I don't love the highlighter. It definitely didn't wow me as much as I thought it did. It's quite subtle and hard to build up pigment. I'm not as huge of a fan as I really thought I would be. This collection should have been me. I should have loved this, even if it was just for travel, because these products are obviously travel friendly, but I 100% don't love them as much as I thought I would, and I'm the target audience, you know. I feel like a lot of people are going to be underwhelmed and kind of disappointed if you pick both of these items up. I think we've got better, we've had better, and I think better is coming from Natasha Denona any day now. Hint, hint. Next up, this Tom Ford Love collection. Oh, I was this close to buying that blush, but then I saw that it was over £70 for that blush. Now, I'm sure it's a nice blush, and obviously it's a Tom Ford blush. I'm not expecting it to be £20, but is it like £20 better than Chanel, Dior, you know, all of those other brands? A typical sort of higher end, even luxury blush these days is like £40 to £50. I've never seen a £70 blush. What could possibly be worth that? It's a quite nice baked peachy neutral shade. Again, I've definitely got 400 of those, and I'm sure you have as well. It's got a heart on it and it's red, and it's coming up to Valentine's Day. All of these are little tricks to sucker us in and make us think £70. A perfectly reasonable amount for a single blush. But hold your horses, because this is a new formula from Tom Ford, and I'm 100% sure there will be more shades. I don't think he's going to release one shade of blush and no more are going to come in this formula. I think this is a toe dipped in the water. More shades are coming, probably better, more exciting, something a bit more different. I'm expecting more blush shades from Tom Ford, probably in this formula. And if that was the case, if there had been 10 shades of this blush, would you have picked this shade? Or would you have picked something more special, a bit more different to what you already own, something that you don't already have? I think most of us would. You're diving in and wanting this one because it's the only one available. Okay, but it's £70. That's ridiculous. The eyeshadow palette is easy because that's a re-promoted shade. As always, it's a re-promoted shade that we already decided we didn't want, but now they've put it in the red packaging because it's Valentine's Day. Suddenly it looks really exciting, but we've not bought it for like the 5 years that it's been around. Why do we want it now? Because it's Valentine's Day and someone slapped a red box on it? No, we are much more savvy than that. That is not new. We do not need that, okay? We're saving our money for special, really nice things that we've considered and that will add to our collection that we don't already have already. Neither of these items tick that box, and they're wildly expensive. So that's a no. You're not allowed it. Don't make me come and slap it out your hand. Next up, another product that we get inundated with around this time of the year every year is concealer. And this year is no exception. We've got Fenty, Guerlain and Laura Mercier, and probably more coming even as I speak. All of these brands putting out new concealers in the first few weeks of 2024, and it's very easy to think, again, this is a lower priced item than say a foundation or a larger eyeshadow palette. You know, what does it really matter? It's concealer. It also feels like a very important product, especially as you get a bit older. Maybe you have really severe darkness under your eyes. Maybe you can never find a concealer that won't crease, and therefore you just start wanting to try every single concealer in case it's the one that covers everything perfectly without aging you, without creasing or settling or separating. Maybe this is going to be the one, and you continue to try concealer after concealer after concealer, every single one, every single time, and you've got 20 just rotting in your drawer somewhere, or 10, or however many you already have. The thing that I always say about concealers, they are permanent. No one's ever made, or to my knowledge at least, no one's ever made a limited edition concealer. All three of these concealers, every other concealer that may come out or already has come out, is going to be there for forever. they're going to be permanent. All three of these are permanent products, permanent concealers. Use what you've got in your drawers, even if it's not perfect. It doesn't take 10 years off of you or whatever it is. There's something that isn't quite perfect about it. None of these might be either. You might like these a lot less than the ones that you already own. So get some use out of the ones you've already invested your money in. Use those up. Wait for many reviews from people around your age with similar skin types, similar issues and preferences, and make sure that these actually have a chance of being better than the ones that you've already rejected, have already gone on the pile of these don't work for me concealers, because you don't want 3 more on that pile. Okay, you only want a new concealer if it's going to be better than the ones you've all already tried, if it's going to be a new holy grail. Watch many reviews when it comes to a permanent product like this to A, make sure you don't buy the wrong shade, because that is just money in the bin, and B, to make sure that actually the general consensus is that this is a really great concealer that offers the coverage that you're looking for, the finish that is going to work well for your skin type and the issue that you're trying to use it for, whether that's darkness, discoloration, whether it's early signs of aging, whether it's fine lines, whether it's more mature skin, dry skin, oilier skin. Make sure you watch plenty of reviews. You've got all the time in the world, because these aren't going to go out of stock. They're not limited edition. Wait until you're sure. They seem to be really, really great. They're reviewing really well. You know what shade is going to definitely work for you, and there's a really good chance, as good of a chance as there can be, that it's going to be better than the ones that you already have, that undoubtedly probably have some good things about them. They may not be perfect. I feel like over the age of 30, the perfect flawless concealer that isn't going to in some way emphasize lines or not quite cover or slightly feel heavy or slightly feel dry or maybe not be the right shade, there's always going to be something. They're not miracle workers. They're not performing miracles up under there or surgery, okay? There's only so much a concealer can do. So use what you've got. I'm sure that you've got many. Use them up, and then when the time comes, watch a lot of reviews. Make sure that this is going to be the best one. Probably by then, several others will have come out. Which one are people still using months later? Which one stood the test of time? Which is making it into yearly favourites, holy grails, status? Give it a try then, when you're sure you know your shade and that it might work better for you than the ones you already have rejected. And lastly, but by no means leastly, one of the most tempting products of this entire lineup is this new Louboutin foundation. It goes without saying, doesn't it? We all know why this is so tempting, don't we? It's the bottle. It's that bottle. Just look at it. It's like a work of art, an ornament, a glorious divine creation that's a treat to the eyes, isn't it? And that's why we're all getting sucked in. Louboutin, when it comes to base products, foundation, concealers, all of that jazz, I mean, in general, as a beauty brand, I would say fairly untested. We've no idea what this is going to be like. We've no idea if this is going to be better or worse than any of the foundations we've got. We've just seen a delightful bottle and immediately we all want it. And the challenge with this foundation, the flipping colours and the swatches and the shade range, I don't know what's going on. And I literally pick my foundation shades online for a living and I've no idea. I'm grasping at straws with the shade that I ordered. I've no idea if it's going to be wearable at all for me. So one, do not blind buy this foundation without like having at least some like reference people, shade twins to go off of, because this is over £60. It's an expensive foundation. It's again a permanent product. At the very, very least, wait for a good number of reviews so you have half a hope in hell of actually getting the correct shade, because if it's the wrong shade, that's going to be crushing and very, very sad. We at least want to be able to use it. Even if it's horrible, we at least want to put it on our face one time and find that out for ourselves. So 100% wait for many reviews. Make sure as a minimum you know you're getting the right shade, because I think there's a very high chance that lots of people are going to get an incorrect shade here, because, and I might be one of them, okay, I'm about to take one for the team, because the swatches, the product swatches that are on paper look totally different to these bizarre leg swatches for some reason, look totally different to the the bottle look totally different to the real life swatches. I've never been more confused. The description of them also doesn't seem to match. That's like a fifth spoke to the wheel of confusion. I've no idea what's going on with these. I don't know how many people are going to be lucky enough to just pick a shade and it turn up and it be perfect. So that's number one. I promise to you it's going to be worth waiting for reviews. This could be terrible. We've got no previous form really to go off of when it comes to Louboutin. This could be utterly awful. It might not work for certain skin types. We've got no idea. There's no reviews yet. We've got to wait for reviews, guys. This is a lot of money to fork out to get a wrong shade we can never use, or for it to turn out to be useless in a fancy bottle. Because as nice as a pretty foundation bottle is to look at, are you going to display that proudly on your mantelpiece? Or is it going like in your makeup drawer / makeup bag? Are you actually going to put that on display as an ornament somewhere? I think that would be odd, wouldn't it? So let's not buy makeup that's that expensive that we don't know if it's going to work for us yet, just because it's got a nice bottle that we actually won't really see very often. Come on, that's silly, okay? I beg you to wait for reviews, many reviews. I beg you to work out what your shade is going to be and use what you've got. Again, this is a permanent product. Again, you can wait for a sale, wait for an offer, wait until it's easy, wait until you know your shade, wait until you know it seems to be working for people with a similar skin type and preference, wait till you know how it looks on the skin and how it wears. Once you know all of that information, it's a much more considered purchase. If you still really want it, save up for it. It's a foundation, you get a lot of use out of it. If you only have a few, they can last you a good year. It's an investment purchase. An investment purchase is not a pretty bottle that's going to rot in a drawer. So there you have it. Those are all of the newest, most tempting and alluring FOMO-inducing products that we have seen so far in 2024. Stay strong, okay? This year has kicked off alarmingly. I'll say that. It's raining, not cats and dogs, it's raining concealers and eyeshadows, okay? What a treat that would be, but probably not because they break a lot. But you see what I'm saying. There's a lot coming. A lot more is coming. This is going to be a very tempting, busy year. So, you know, hold on. There's always something more exciting around the corner. But I hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful. And I would love to see you in the next one. Otherwise, take care for now. Bye.